Well, when a sniper killed my tank commander, that was the worst thing I think ever, because he was so close, and he was a staff sergeant, and he really treated me good, and I thought a lot of him.
I thought you only knew him for one day.
Yeah, but when he come and picked me out of the group sitting there, you know, he what's that name? And I told him, we're just going to call you Obi. And that was it.
So he gave you your nickname?
Nickname Obi, yeah.
And take me through what happened to him. Where were you guys? What went out?
We was going through a creek because the bridges wouldn't hold us. Going through the creek, and we got hung up in it. We couldn't get up the other bank. And the tank ahead of us made it. Yeah, I guess he got a little more speed than we had because we was back in a group. And so Ozzy says, "Oh, we get a hold of that tank ahead of us, time to back up," because that tank was up on, number 4 tank was up on the bank. And we had cables on back of all the tanks. And get a hold of our cable and give us a pull so we could get up over the bank. And I couldn't get him on the radio, and they wasn't much good anyhow. About 2 tanks ahead's the best all you could get. And it wasn't very clear. So Ozzy got a hold of that. And hey, you guys, back up and give us a pull. We're stuck. And he took my hat, and it had the radio in there. And that tank started backing up. That sniper nailed him behind the head. Blew the whole top of his head off.
What did he look like?
No, you can't describe it. He fell down and he just laid there and shook his nerves, And I went and rolled him over, and from here on his head was gone. And the medics come right away and says, "Who's hit up there?" I says, "Ozzy." And so one of the medics jumped up and got him and laid him on the grass there. And looked at me and says, "He's gone. His top of his head's gone." So that was it. Then we started trying to find a sniper. Never did find him. Hell, he could have been a half mile off because he had time to zero in on everything on the tank.
What was going on in your head? This is, your first day.
Well, I'll admit, you kind of put yourself in that position. This could happen to me, so. But then you go on.
Were you scared? Were you scared?
Oh, I'd be lying to you if I wasn't scared. Yes, I was scared. You don't realize, as young as you are, and as active as you are, that this could happen to you until something like that shows you it could happen. They send up another tank commander and you move on. That's where your replacements come in. It's really hard. Dude, you know your friends 1 minute, next minute you're charcoal. So one thing about it, generally, if a tank is hit and set on fire, everybody in it is dead before the fire really starts, because of the shrapnel, the way it travels in there. For example, inside of the turret would look like a fruit jar with the grooves cut around it from the shrapnel going around and around. And the bodies would just be chopped up.
Would you see some of these bodies after the fact?
Well, at first we would try to get them out, and then the thing would blow up and it'd kill more people. So then we got orders that we couldn't do that no more. So,
Are you talking about someone in particular when you say you're friends one minute, then they're charcoal the next?
well, yeah, my whole crew that I was with one day as a driver, they needed a driver, and our tank was laid up. So I went as a driver, and we took a little town, and with their infantry, and the next day I was back at my tank, and their driver was back, and they got captured, and the Germans lined them all up against the tank and shot them. The whole crew, all 5 guys. I was one day away. Tommy Turtle was a little bitty guy, and he was going to get married when he was from New York. And as soon as the war was over, and I was going to be his best man, and my tank commander told me, he says, they found them all lined up in the alley, shot to death.
So you were really close to him?
Yeah, we used to sit and write letters home and stuff like that every night.
What was that like when you heard that he was killed?
Well, it's hard. But we just have to, if you want to survive, you just have to push it off and go on. It's not the easiest thing in the world. But I seen a whole, I think 18 Americans lined up against a brick wall and all shot to death.
You saw the bodies?
Yeah. And it was all tank guys. Germans didn't take American tankers prisoners
Why is that?
because it was tanks. Because they thought more of the infantry, because it's man-to-man rifle, than somebody hiding behind a steel wall. Put it easy. That's what. Same way with their snipers. We never took a German sniper prisoner.
What would you guys do to them?
Generally, it was in a tree. And tank commanders, they've got a sniper in a tree, work him over. And so we start out with a machine gun, then pump a couple of big rounds in the tree, and then we'd go on. So.
When you were using the big gun, were you ever actually able to see your target, or
Oh, yeah.
or was your target always behind like a building or something?
No. Snipers is always in a tree biggest part of the time. And you started out with just 30 caliber machine gun till you hit the target. And you'd see them, they'd start down the tree. Then you'd pull the trigger on the big gun, tree and all disappear.
But were there any other times that you would be using the big gun?
Oh, yeah. on buildings, church steeples, and at the Rhine River, there was a piece of artillery running on a road across the river, and that Rhine River is a mile wide. And I had the only 76 millimeter gun in the bunch, and so the orders come that we're moving up, target on the other road over on the other side of the Rhine River. So Lieutenant, well, he was just a regular staff sergeant then. He says it's about a mile wide, so you use your calibration. And first shot, I unhooked the trailer. He was pulling the trailer. And the second shot, I got the truck. So and I got a pat on the back, and the guy lost his life. So it's
It sounds like it affects you nowadays, but did it affect you when you were actually doing it?
He couldn't let it affect you. You had to keep playing words your shit together, because you had to calibrate that, how far it is, and what gun you're using.
Didn't it feel good when you actually hit your target, though?
Oh yeah. But you save somebody else's life. That's the way you have to figure it.
Do you remember the first time you saw a dead German?
Yeah. I can remember it as if it was yesterday. It was in the hedgerows. The Germans took and drugged their dead out in the road. And we got out to drag the dead out of the way, and they opened up a machine gun on us. The orders come through, no more body moving, run over them. So after that, if they dragged their dead out or drag our dead out, we'd try to go around them. We couldn't go around them, you'd have to go over them. But you never got out.
What was that like, driving over dead bodies?
It's altogether different.
What do you mean?
Let's just put it as an example. If your brother's laying out there, would you run over him? I mean, I rest my case. I mean, if he's got our uniform on, you know he's somebody's boy. But that's war. You have to, he's done for. You have to take his place. So you keep going. But I guess you're proud of it, but not really. You know what I mean? You always got in the back of your mind. But,
what were the living conditions like for the tankers?
Well, you just learn to live in a tank.
But describe to me what that's like.
Well, I'd say put 2 men in a tub. That's about how much room you had. You had 5 men in that little tub. So you was crowded, but you knew everybody. You sitting like we are here. You be the gunner, and my gun would be over here. But you turn and talk to your loader, and we had a lot in common, about the same age. The oldest guy in there was 18 years old. When he was tank commander, a lot of times the bullets that hit the turret, and you got wings. Your turret opens up, and the wings set up like that, and you turn them, and they're a half moon, and a lot of times shells would ricochet off of that. So, and that's about that far from your head. So they had, we call it the potato smasher. It was a bazooka, and it was really deadly. They tie the thing onto a tree and put a rope out. You hit that rope, you shoot yourself. You've seen one tied to a tree, and the infantry couldn't get to it. You just swung a big gun around and put an artillery piece in it. Kind of mess it up. But you have no idea the weapons they had and how accurate they were. They'd have little kids running down the street and have a little artillery piece. And if you had the time, the infantry guys would go over and take it apart, and there'd be a 38 shell in there or something. It was made for it. They was as deadly as any. And they'd just be little kids. So you didn't trust nobody. And Hitler's youth had them little short pants on. They'd be carrying grenades. They'd run up and you shake your hand. They'd put your hand out, they'd hand you a damn grenade and run off. So.
What do you remember about the destruction to the cities you saw in Germany?
Well, time we got into the city, it was generally on fire. And the streets was littered with fire. You just have to pick your way through because the bombers was ahead of us in the big cities. We had a German officer one time give up. He wasn't going to give up to anybody besides his rank. And he was a pretty high officer. So a guy in the infantry walks up and shot him. And says that takes care of that. We went on.
If you guys had to use the restroom in the tank, what would you do?
What you did is you saved a big round, just a shell, when the casing flew out. And you either took a crap in her or pee and throw it out.
Is that right?
That's right. Or else you waited till the night and crawled out of the tank. And I had to go shit so bad one time. And I told the tank commander, I got to take a crap or I'm going to crap in my pants. So he said, it'll be dark in a few minutes. I said, okay. So I said, I can't wait any longer. And we was in a little town. And there was a big potato patch. And he told the driver, he said, pull out in that potato patch. Obi's got to take a shit. And they called me Obi. So we pulled out there and I jumped out. I'm taking a crap and they seen me out there, the Germans, and they started throwing mortars out there. So I was just done close enough I wasn't going to say any longer. I jerked up my pants and I run, and I heard this shell coming in, and I dove down the potatoes. And then tank commander hollered, you're okay, come on. So I got up and got in the tank, and he said, you're the only guy I ever seen take a shit horizontally.